Welcome back to the Choose UCalgary Podcast. My name is Arista and I'm your host for Season 9. Today we will be talking to Becca and Kendrick, Geomatics Engineering Students, and Dr. Kyle O'Keefe, a professor within the department. Tune in to hear all about this program, with exciting applications such as satellite positioning, land surveying, and navigation systems. This special program is one of 2 in Canada and is ranked as one of the best in the world. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, and that the City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6. The City of Calgary has always been my home, but I'm only a second-generation Canadian on my dad's side, reminding me of how thankful I am for being able to attend school, live, and work on the lands of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda Nations. Which reminds me how important it is to remember that everything done at the University of Calgary campus, including podcast recordings, starts with these lands. Please keep this in mind as you listen to this podcast. We'll get started by getting to know you. So can you just introduce yourselves and tell us your year in the program and or role in the faculty?
My name is Becca Pettigrew, and I'm in my 3rd year of the Geomatics Engineering program.
I'm Kyle O'Keefe. I'm a professor of Geomatics Engineering.
I'm Kendrick Lau. I'm in my final year of Geomatics Engineering.
For those who may be unfamiliar, can you guys explain what kind of geomatics engineering is and what future students can expect to study and explore within this field?
Geomatics engineering is the engineering of data with coordinates on it, or positions. So it used to be called surveying engineering, but in the last 30 years, there have been all kinds of new technologies for collecting this data, managing it, and then presenting it back. So geomatics engineers, they work with making observations with satellite positioning, remote sensing.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. The list is really, really long. In fact, the list is so long that that's what we spend most of our time doing at parties, is explaining what we do. So any piece of data that has coordinates on it and the technology that gets those coordinates is geomatics engineering. And then all of the stuff to manage all of that information. So if you've ever used Google Maps or Google Earth to display data, what we do is we take data with positions on it, manage it and manipulate it and study it, and then use it, present it back to decision makers so that they can use that data to make informed decisions.
That's really interesting, actually. I didn't know that was a full field where you can manage the data and then especially for Google Maps and stuff like that, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it used to be, surveying, and you just write down numbers and then someone else would make a map. Mm-hmm. But now we have hundreds of different ways of collecting those numbers, and we have all of this software to make the final product. And what geomatics engineers do is they build the instruments to collect the data, they learn how that works, then they also build the software. They don't just use the software, they're actually inside figuring out how we're going to make a better algorithm to take data from fitness trackers and use it to figure out where the trails are or where everyone's going. It is a very interesting technology discipline.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So the program is ranked as one of the best in the world. What sets this geomatics engineering program apart from other engineering disciplines, and what kind of makes it stand out as one of the best?
One of the things that makes the Department of Geomatics Engineering at Calgary world famous is that for geomatics engineering programs, it's actually fairly large. And it is a very niche subject around the world. Small countries that have a lot of history and not a lot of geography might have just one. Countries like Canada and Australia that have a lot of geography, we have multiple programs. But the programs still only, a lot of them, the departments might have 5, 6, 7 professors. We have 16. And so Calgary has been one of the larger geomatics engineering programs in the world in terms of getting a critical mass of researchers together doing interesting stuff, while at the same time we run what is, compared to other types of engineering, a relatively small undergrad class. It's a pretty big class compared to our peers in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess from a student perspective, especially with having those smaller class sizes compared to other engineering faculties at UCalgary specifically, you get kind of that really personal attention from the wide variety of researchers and stuff you have on the faculty, which would be amazing to have.
Yeah. And the small class thing is important too going into the future. My own undergrad class in geomatics engineering only had 35 people in it, and most of those people are out there doing amazing things. offering me jobs if I ever wanted to move to the private sector. And I think that will be the same for this year's class. 20 years from now, they'll be out all over the world doing amazing stuff and in leadership roles doing it as well.
For sure. Yeah, definitely being in a niche subject, you kind of get to have those opportunities to go and pick and choose where you're going and stuff like that, which would be amazing to have. Mm-hmm. So work integrated learning is a really key component at the Schulich School of Engineering. What work integrated learning opportunities are available for geomatic engineering students and to gain that real world experience?
Our undergrad students do quite well finding summer fieldwork type jobs between, say, second year and third year. And then between third and fourth year, like all the other types of engineering, there is a year-long internship program, which we encourage our students to take advantage of. And these two will tell you more about their experience in that. But we also have quite a few students who don't go on internship because their summer job from the year before was a success and the company they were working for wants them to be done and get back to work full time. We also have quite a bit of field work in our labs, in our courses, and it's not because geomatics engineers are going to be field workers. That option exists, but what we think is more important is that when they get to a place where they're managing people who are out in the field collecting data, they need to appreciate what's going on and how that works. So I think the most interesting work integrated learning experience in our program is between third and fourth year, we have a 10-day long field course that everyone does, not just the people who want to work in the field. And we get the students out there working in teams in a real field environment where the logistics matter and the weather matters and the teamwork matters. And it's a really fun experience to watch the students experience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Definitely would be.
I guess I personally had joined the internship program that we have here in University of Calgary. I had a great experience. I work in a company, a multinational company, but based here in Calgary, and had a lot of good experience being able to work in the field and being able to experience data collection and this kind of things, but at the same time being able to process data and understand what I'm trying to get and running statistics and things like that, and being able to kind of relate back to classes, write reports and papers and trying to come up with explaining your result. And I think it's a good experience, and it's transition to the way that I'm doing a part-time role with the same company. So
yeah, right. And they want you back, right?
Yes. Yeah. I should put that. Yeah.
Do you want to tell the podcast about your experience driving a self-driving car?
Yes, I probably should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a wonderful experience driving a self-driving car. So this company is a positioning company, so using things like satellites or cameras or different types of sensors, and I get to firsthand drive car and try to drive it autonomously in the parking lot. There's some parts where you drive in a lot of circles, which is quite fun. But the nice thing is you actually get to experience it compared to other I would say jobs where you firsthand experience it and understand what you're doing, and it's I would say it's a well-rounded experience.
Yeah, that would be amazing to be able to drive that car. That would be awesome.
With a game controller.
With a game controller. Okay, that's even better.
One of the fun part, I guess, is you don't just drive a vehicle with a steering wheel. You can drive it with a game controller. So, pretty fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome. How about you? Do you have any cool experiences and stuff for that?
Yeah. So I haven't done my internship yet. That'll be in about 2 months from now. But after my first year, I did research with a professor in a lab for the summer. And back to the small class sizes, it makes it so much easier to build those relationships with your professors and figure out what each of them are doing their research in. And then you can say, hey, do you have a position open for the summer? And last summer, I worked as a survey assistant back home on Vancouver Island, which was an amazing experience. I feel like it just provides so much more context to what you're learning in the classroom, because you actually get to apply the skills that you're learning.
Yeah, definitely being able to actually have a job or internship or anything like that you get to kind of apply the things you're learning in class to is an amazing opportunity, I find. I'm doing my co-op right now. It's pretty cool to kind of put all that stuff into practice and actually experience it outside of the classroom. It's Oh, that's where that comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Our students also have a really good, close relationship with the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, it's the students, not the faculty members, that organize our annual career day. They get 30 companies out. Remember, there's only 30-odd students in the program in any given year. These companies, they keep coming back. A lot of the people working there are our former students. They know what our students can do, and they keep in touch with the next generation of students.
Yeah, that's amazing to definitely be able to form those like connections with companies and stuff outside of UCalgary to be able to offer that to the next year of students in the next classes and stuff like that would be amazing.
Just to add one more thing, one of our alumni, Jackson Cooper, was also on the Choose UCalgary podcast. So if you want to hear more about his internship experience, definitely give that episode a listen. I think he worked at the Canadian Space Agency and Rogers as well.
What was kind of like your favorite or most memorable experiences about doing any like work integrated learning or experiential learning things, either in class or from like your work term or internship or anything like that?
My favorite work experience was doing a job on the very northern tip of Vancouver Island in a little remote First Nations community. So I got to travel about 7-hour drive from Victoria. Then we had to take a boat in because there's no road access to get into there. And then we spent 2 weeks surveying the area, and it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever gotten to see. And I'm just so grateful that I got to experience it because it's something I never would have gotten to do if I wasn't working.
Yeah, for sure. That would be really cool to be able to go to like that remote area and stuff like that and see things that a lot of people don't get to see a lot of the time. That'd be amazing.
And also meet the people who live there, and they're some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. Thank you.
I would just say that I'm lucky enough that about 2/3 of the time I get to teach our field course. And that is a highlight of the year for me. For sure. It's a lot of, like, we work them very hard. The students work really hard. They also play very hard. But it's just very interesting to see the students develop sort of these applied practical skills and team building. Because, of course, the rest of the time I'm just presenting them with theoretical stuff, right?
Yeah, because you said that course was the 3rd or 4th year?
It's right at the start of 4th year.
Okay.
So we do it in August before the final year begins. And often a lot of the students are coming back from their internships, and then some of them are just going directly into 4th year. And so it is a very good team building exercise for the graduating class.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be cool to see how the students develop, especially being like such a smaller class of like that 30 students per class roughly type thing, to be able to see them develop after making those personal connections and stuff like that. Are you waiting to explore our campus to see what your future study spots, classrooms, hangout spots, residence, athletic facilities, and more look like? Sign up for a campus tour today with one of our amazing student guides, or join us online with our Facebook live stream tour. Pre-register through the link in our show notes. Becca and Kendrick, this is more specifically for you guys, but can you tell us about the Geomatics Engineering Students Society at UCalgary and how has being involved in the society kind of like shaped your university experience?
I'd say the Geomatics Engineering Student Society is all about building connections for the students, and that's building connections between students and building their connections with industry. So we host a lot of events. This week we're doing both a laser tag event, and we're also going to a trampoline park on Friday. We also do things such as ski trips, hiking trips, and we have a dodgeball team as well. In terms of building connections with industry, we host info sessions pretty much every week in the fall where a company will come, present, tell us about what they do. And they're often looking to hire students for summer jobs, for internships, and for post-grad.
That sounds awesome, though, like being able to do like that wide variety of activities, like not just networking opportunities, but also just like connecting with your peers and stuff like that, like the dodgeball and doing laser tag and stuff like that would be awesome.
Yeah, like getting the chance to meet students who aren't in your year as well, I think is really important. I remember when I was applying for a survey job last summer, I was a bit hesitant. You don't meet a lot of female land surveyors, but getting to talk to some of the female students who had worked in surveying the summer before, really showed me, okay, I can do this, and it was a great experience, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely get to make those connections, which is amazing, and kind of that mentorship opportunity, like informal mentorship opportunities and stuff like that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Becca said, is we host about like 20 something info sessions during the semester, or both semesters, I would say. We have like companies that come over here and like talk about their company and their hiring positions, and the best part is they bring free food. So it's always a win. But one important thing also, we do host our annual Geomatics Exposition, which has about like 20 something companies from mostly Alberta, but across the country, that comes here and like kind of share about what their job position openings are and like what they're hiring, what they're looking for students. They sometimes do on the spot interviews and try to hire students and try to sway them to get a job immediately. And cool thing is they bring a lot of merch also, so it's a nice thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that event, it's the Geomatics Expo is a career day plus some extra things, is usually near the end of January every year. And I think it's quite important to have that occur, because the first year engineering students may not have heard of us because there isn't a geomatics engineering course in first year engineering, which is a common program for everyone. So, of course, all the first years in January, February, they're trying to figure out what kind of engineer they want to be. And having all of the industry come and show them what the opportunities are is very valuable.
Yeah, for sure. It would definitely show them what's available to them and be able, for students who aren't sure yet of what they want to go into, help them see like where there's opportunities and career opportunities and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah, when I was in first year, attending the Geomatics Expo was one of the reasons I picked geomatics engineering, because I got to go and talk to all the companies, and there's only so much you can learn about a program from looking at what courses you'll take on the university website, but getting to go and actually talk to the companies, and some of them even tried to hire me for the summer, which just shows how many job opportunities there are available in geomatics as well.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. So I guess that kind of leads into our next question here, but like when it comes to career paths, we talked a bit about it, like with the surveying opportunities and stuff like that. What opportunities do geomatics engineering graduates have after finishing the program? Maybe further than what we've discussed, or location-wise and stuff like that?
So this is a really good question. And in fact, just this week, I had a parent of a first-year student contact me to ask this question. And this was a concerned mom. My son wants to do geomatics engineering, but I checked on one of the job sites and I couldn't find any jobs. And I think one of the important things is that geomatics engineering careers go by a lot of different names. And so there are things like navigation systems engineer, hydrographer, cartographer, geographic information systems analyst, professional land surveyor. All of these careers are applications of geomatics engineering. And again, it is a bit of a joke in our industry. When you go to parties and you say you're a geomatics engineer, then you have to explain what it is. And what it actually is one of these other careers. So there is a fairly big geomatics engineering industry in Calgary that's sort of grown up around our department. And also because in Calgary, there's another industry that has a lot of stuff out there on the land that they need to keep track of, right? And so you need to go out and measure it. You need to manage all of that data. So there's an industry here. Interestingly enough, I would say that one of the best GPS receivers, or global navigation satellite system receivers, is made by a company in Calgary, right? They employ hundreds of people. They sell millions of dollars worth of hardware around the world annually, and most Calgarians don't even know they're there. In the rest of the world, few of our graduates, 2 or 3 every year, will get a job in the US. There's a fairly big industry in Colorado. Again, quite a few companies have sort of clustered around that area. Every year or two, an exceptional student from our program will get hired by a Silicon Valley company. So, Google, Apple, that kind of thing. But of course, to get that kind of position, you have to have hobbies that line up with their very complicated job interview process. Yeah. And it's exciting.
Yeah, that is awesome to be able, like, having that flexibility, kind of be able to do a lot of variety of different things with kind of one degree would be amazing. More for Becca and Kendrick, but also for you as a professor. What's been kind of like your favorite class, like both as an instructor or as a student, like taking the class?
My favorite classes so far have been both of the surveying classes I took last semester. And I feel like taking classes like these is really important because engineering is becoming so automated right now. There's a huge shift in the field, and all of calculations and statistics that used to be done by hand is now you press a button on the machine and it does it for you. So I think taking classes like this and being able to understand the principle behind what you're doing really makes you a better engineer because you're able to troubleshoot. Sure. Yeah, you know what you're doing. So yeah. And the professors are both excellent who teach those courses. I've gone to their office hours not just to ask about the classes, but just to ask about career advice and where I'm going with geomatics. So
yeah, for sure. Definitely being able to know, like, yeah, it's all very digitalized, but you need to know when it's wrong and stuff like that as well, right? And be able to understand, okay, well, what could have gone wrong here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite class has been so far the satellite positioning class. So it's just wonderful. It's all about like the foundation of how GPS works. So how I would put it is like there's this satellite orbiting around Earth and like sending a very weak signal. So think of it as like a light bulb, like a few watts of energy, and we on Earth are trying to get this signal and trying to understand how to get that information. So how fascinating it is, and how, if everyone thinks of it, it's like your phone is able to see like a light bulb on 20,000 kilometers above the sky. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely fascinating for sure.
I quite enjoy teaching the field course, even though myself, I'm not a field person. I'm a navigation systems engineer, and I actually developed parts of the course that Kendrick likes so much. I'm just not teaching it lately. I teach the grad level version of that course, so advanced satellite navigation, and I actually enjoy all of the teaching. It's my favorite part of the job because you get to interact with new, ambitious, bright young people every year, and if I can, help them learn a little bit, that's very satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely get some new perspectives, especially like teaching new people each year and stuff like that. You get new perspectives on different things and everything, which is awesome as well. So there's one cool thing that UCalgary engineering program is that we offer guaranteed first choice of program to students who successfully completed like all 10 technical common core courses in their first year. So there's no need for like high school students to apply to enter the engineering discipline they want to pursue, which is kind of a cool thing that we do. They can kind of choose once they've got a better sense of like the programs and their interests during their first year. Do you have any advice for high school students who are already thinking about choosing geomatics engineering at UCalgary, or maybe students who have no idea what they want to go into?
So for the students who don't know what they want to do yet, the most important thing is don't just choose the flavor or discipline of engineering that your parents or your relatives or your friends think you should do. It's really important that you pick a subject that you find exciting, because you're not just going to study it for 4 years. You're going to then work in that field possibly for 25 more. And I've talked to lots of students over the years, and it's often not the students, it's the parents who ask questions like, well, which type of engineering will get my student the best job? And I tell them it's the type of engineering that the student is excited about, because the people with the jobs can tell if you're excited about the field. And then when you get the job, you want to keep doing it, right? So if you are a high school student and you're good at physics, math, maybe geography, you like the outdoors a little bit, and you want to find a field where you can put all of that together and get paid to do really cool stuff, geomatics engineering is something you should consider. There's quite a bit of overlap between geomatics engineering and civil, electrical, mechanical, and aerospace, because it's it's at the intersection of all of those flavors of engineering. And again, you do get this bonus ability of applying a little bit of physical and human geography. And if you become a land surveyor, even social studies, right? There's law and history involved in that, figuring out who owns what and being able to precisely measure it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess for you guys as well, how did you guys choose geomatics engineering? Did you know already when you came into your first year? Or I know you mentioned that you weren't sure and talking to people kind of helped and stuff like that, but was there any like moment that you guys were like, yes, I think this would be the perfect one for me, or something like that?
For me, I was choosing between geomatics and biomedical engineering, and I went to one of the majors days that Schulich hosts, and I was talking to someone who's in their 4th year of geomatics, and she was doing her capstone project on where the best place to put a camera is when you're doing a heart surgery. And that really changed my perspective on geomatics, because I just realized how diverse it is and how many different areas it applies in. And we use it all the time in our everyday life without even realizing it.
Yeah, for sure. When you came to UCalgary and were doing like your first comm year, did you know you wanted to kind of go into that one before coming here, or did you want to do something different?
One of the reasons I chose the University of Calgary is because I didn't know what type of engineering I wanted to do. None of my parents are engineers. No one I really knew growing up was an engineer. And I just figured I could do my first year, I could join clubs, I could be involved, and then go from there and see what I was interested in.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of figure out what you wanted to go into and find your place, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Just gonna say, like, what Kyle said is, like, really, really important. And, like, getting to know what you really love doing is quite important, especially for a high school student. A lot of people are in the same spot. It's, like, confused what you want to choose in the future. And, you want to earn money, but also you want to have, like, a balance of, like, being able to love your job. Obviously, the money part is important. You need some program that opens, like, opportunities for you, jobs and doors for you. And one of the biggest thing, like, looking back right now, is I think geomatics set me up to get to know people, and, like, not just people, but, like, friends. All my good friends are actually from geomatics engineering, and, like, some people that I've met in, like, class and like clubs. So yeah, very important.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to ask you the same question here. When you started at UCalgary, did you know what engineering stream you wanted to go into, or wasn't too sure, or did it change in any way?
I was not in geomatics engineering at the first. I was in the mechanical engineering background, and I transferred into geomatics. So I guess I kind of realized that I didn't like what I do. It was very different. So it made me realize that I should choose a different program, and, like, looked into, like, geomatics, and it was interesting. A lot of people never has heard about geomatics, and the more you research about it and the more you talk to people, that's where you realize it.
And then I know you're just at the start of your career now, but where you're actually going to go work is applying geomatics to mechanical engineering, which I think is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because there is an aerospace minor as well in the geomatics engineering. There's actually a lot of minors in the geomatics engineering program. A lot of our students minor in software while majoring in geomatics, because, of course, there is a lot of software in geomatics engineering, but there is a minor in aerospace as well, because all of the navigation systems, of course, in aerospace are doing geomatics engineering.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share? Any final thoughts for prospective students at all?
I would say university is like a trial run for your career for the next 30, 40 years. So use the time to put yourself out there and try as many things as you can. Try a ton of different jobs, find what you're passionate about.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
I would agree. Like, try to use that maybe 4 or 5 years to figure out what you actually like and get to know a lot of people. You never know who you will cross paths again in the future, and that person might be the perfect key for you to, like, maybe find the next job or something like that.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add at all?
Yeah, just that if you want to learn more, don't be afraid to contact us. So the professors at the Department of Geomatics Engineering, if you email them, they will get back to you. And if they don't have time to get back to you, they'll forward your email to someone who does have time to get back to you. Also, if you want to talk to a professor, all you have to do is you just knock on the door of their office and ask them, tell me about your research. And they will start talking at you. And it might be difficult to get them to stop.
Thank you so much, you guys. This was awesome, and I think it'll be really beneficial for future students, like, coming into UCalgary or engineering, to help kind of maybe decide what they want to go into, or start doing that research as to what they're interested in and where their passions lie and stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for coming in today. Thank you for listening to this episode of Season 9 of the Choose UCalgary podcast. Remember to follow us on Instagram at choose.ucalgary and Facebook at UCalgaryFS to stay up to date on all things UCalgary for future students. DM if you have any questions, and stay tuned for the next episode.